Most people never realize how much power they give away through emotional reactions until they stop. When you no longer feel the need to raise your voice, explain yourself, or match someone else's intensity, the entire interaction begins to change. That shift doesn't happen because you've become cold or detached, but because you've removed the emotional fuel that keeps most dynamics alive. In this video, we break down what actually happens when you stop reacting emotionally, why it immediately alters power dynamics, and why emotional restraint is so often misunderstood as weakness instead of the strength it truly is. Number 1. You remove emotional control from others. When you stop reacting emotionally, the first thing that changes is control, and not in the way most people expect. Many interactions aren't driven by a desire to understand you, but by an attempt to draw something out of you. Reactions provide information. They expose sensitivities, reveal boundaries, and give others a way to steer the exchange. The moment you remove that reaction, the leverage disappears. Without emotional feedback, people lose their ability to escalate situations, apply pressure, or guide the tone in familiar ways. The dynamic quietly flips. Instead of you responding to them, they begin adjusting to you. This shift has nothing to do with becoming cold, distant, or indifferent. It happens because you've removed the emotional fuel that most interactions run on. Emotional restraint doesn't weaken your position, it stabilizes it. When you don't react impulsively, you become difficult to read, harder to manipulate, and impossible to rush. That unreadability isn't passivity, it's composure. And composure is one of the fastest ways power changes hands. Number 2. People begin to reveal themselves. When you stop reacting emotionally, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. People start revealing themselves. Silence and emotional neutrality create pressure because most interactions rely on emotional exchange to feel stable. When you no longer rush to fill space with reactions, explanations, or reassurance, others feel compelled to do it for you. They talk more than necessary. They justify actions you never questioned. They explain intentions you never challenged. What was once hidden beneath noise starts rising to the surface. This is where clarity replaces confusion. Instead of reacting defensively, you observe. Instead of trying to correct perceptions, you listen. And in that quiet, people unintentionally expose their insecurities, motives, and emotional state. The absence of your reaction removes the mask they're used to wearing. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting what words often conceal. When you stop reacting emotionally, you stop filling gaps with assumptions and emotional guesses. You stop projecting meaning where none was given, and that's when perception sharpens. You're no longer trying to figure people out. You're watching them show you exactly who they are. Number 3. The power dynamic shifts immediately. Most relationships don't operate on logic or fairness. They operate on emotional momentum. Someone reacts first, someone feels more, and someone feels pressure to fix, explain, or stabilize the situation. That emotional imbalance quietly determines who holds influence. When you remove your emotional reaction, that entire structure collapses. You're no longer rushing to restore harmony, seeking approval, or stepping into the role others unconsciously assigned you. The dynamic loses its familiar rhythm, and with that loss comes uncertainty. Suddenly, the pressure that once lived inside you shifts outward. The person who relied on your reaction begins to pause, recalibrate, and adjust their behavior instead. This shift isn't aggressive or confrontational. It doesn't come from dominance, intimidation, or control. It comes from composure, and composure is powerful because it's stable. It doesn't need to prove itself or force outcomes. By staying grounded and emotionally still, you quietly reposition yourself within the interaction. Control no longer belongs to the one demanding engagement, but to the one who can remain calm when expectations fall apart. Number 4. Your words carry more weight. When you react emotionally, Your words begin to lose their impact because they're offered too often and too quickly. Constant reactions dilute meaning. People stop listening closely when they know a response is guaranteed, immediate, and emotionally charged. But when you stop reacting impulsively, something subtle shifts. Your words become less frequent, and because they're less frequent, they carry more weight. People pay attention when they know you don't speak just to fill space or relieve tension. When you finally choose to respond, it's deliberate, measured, and rooted in clarity rather than emotion. That restraint signals control. It tells others that your words are intentional, not reactive, and that you don't need volume or intensity to be heard. Not reacting emotionally doesn't mean withdrawing from conversation or becoming passive. It means you've learned to value precision over noise. And precision, unlike emotional outbursts or constant explanations, earns respect naturally, without force, without confrontation, and without needing to prove anything at all. Number 5. You regain internal control. The most important change that occurs when you stop reacting emotionally doesn't show up in other people's behavior at first. It shows up inside you. The moment you stop allowing external situations, comments, or provocations to dictate your internal state, your sense of control returns. Your mood becomes steadier, your thinking becomes clearer, and your energy stops bleeding into exchanges that never deserved it in the first place. You're no longer operating in constant response mode, waiting to be triggered or pulled into someone else's emotional rhythm. Instead, you begin acting from a position of intention rather than impulse. Decisions stop being rushed, reactions stop being automatic, and emotional spikes lose their authority over you. This shift moves you out of emotional survival and into emotional command. You're no longer managing chaos, you're directing your attention. And that's where real peace comes from. Not from avoiding conflict or suppressing emotion, but from choosing when, where, and how your emotional energy is spent. Most people never realize that emotional restraint doesn't create distance, it creates grounding. When you stop reacting emotionally, those who thrive on chaos feel unsettled, while those who understand real strength recognize it immediately. You are not obligated to respond on demand, explain your feelings, or grant others access to your inner state. Emotional control isn't suppression. It's ownership. By choosing not to react, you stop handing power to situations and people that don't deserve it. Your energy becomes stable, your decisions become clearer, and your presence becomes heavier. And once you experience that level of control, returning to emotional reactivity no longer feels possible.